Joe, you made it. Okay, where are you? Look like you're under a tree.
Yeah, I'm at home right now. I didn't end up going into town today. And so if it cuts out, it's probably my Wi-Fi. But I
Okay,
think we'll be okay for at this time. It's sometimes pretty good.
let's try it, see if it works. Okay, so where do you live? Where are you at? Are you self-sufficient? You have your own gig there?
Yes, I am currently in Kennedy Meadows in the Southern Sierra Mountains
Oh, you live there.
in California.
You live
Yes,
there.
I live
Okay.
there.
Wow. Okay. A population of like 53 or 12 people or what?
Well, it depends on what time of the year. Usually in the winter, I'd say there's 40 people in the entire valley in the winter. Summer, who knows, couple hundred people.
Yeah, they keep coming through. There's still the pack is coming through, the hikers.
No, they actually were. It's been about 2 or 3 weeks since the herd went through, but there's a couple stragglers here and there.
Okay, they're going to be late getting into Washington then, sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah, anybody that's at this time is either really fast or they're they're just section hiking, or so it's quiet right now. There's not very many people around.
How many this year came through compared to the previous years? How many hikers?
This year I didn't really pay attention too much, but every time I did happen to go by the store or over there by Grumpy's, it seemed like there was probably, 40, 50 a day. And however, they bunch up a little bit. And even though it was a low snow year, they still bunch up.
Right. Well, and have you hiked the PCT yourself?
Yes, I have.
And what year was that?
The first completed through hike that I actually did was in 2005.
Oh, wow. Way back there.
I had been section hiking. Yeah, I had been section hiking for years before that, but I finally put it together in 05.
Okay, were there as many trail angels then, even then, or did you do it by yourself pretty much?
There's a couple. Yeah, there was a couple. And they were real angels, though. They wouldn't accept money, and it seems like a lot of what they're calling trail angels these days are out to try to make a buck off of you. They should really be, a job. It's a job.
And how about water caches during that time, 2005? Any of those?
2005 was actually the first year that I started seeing water caches. That was back in Section A. I had been, in the years before, I'd already gone through it several times with section hikes of Southern California, and there was no water caches. 05, there was a couple, not very many, 2 or 3. 08 seemed like to be the first year that they started getting big, 2008.
Okay, so you were still in the pioneer days there. Covered wagon days.
Yeah, it's weird to hear it. It's weird to hear that like that listening to the guys in the 77 crowd.
Oh yeah, like Ned Tibbetts and I guess
and Monty
Tam and Billy Goat.
No, Mad Monty.
Monty.
Billy Goat. Yeah, and Strider and all those guys out of 77. That was a big crowd that year. And so they pretty much, they started the kickoff, and it was they were the leaders of all the PCTers back then.
I see. What do they call you on the trail?
Tattoo Joe. It's because I have tattoos, and back then I think I was probably the only person with a tattoo.
Okay.
And now it seems like everybody's covered in tattoos on the trail. So I'm looking for a new trail name.
Okay. Okay. Well, what else have you done? What other trails have you done?
I Triple Crown twice.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
yeah, so I've done the CDT twice and the AT twice. I've done the PCT 3 times. And I've
Wow.
done several of the smaller trails. Did the Florida Trail, the Colorado Trail a couple times, and several other small trails.
Okay,
I'm more of I like section hiking still too.
You're a legend. You're almost a legend. Almost.
Yeah,
So,
I wouldn't. It's hiking is such a personal thing. It's hard to put a legend on it because as soon as you become popular or whatever you want to call it, they forget about you the next year.
yeah, like Second Chance. Remember last year?
Yes.
Remember him? Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like a celebrity, it's a movie star, once you're old and forgotten, and then you're basically forgotten, except somebody like Elvis or. But yeah, okay. So what? I have a bunch of questions here. I'm just curious. You've hiked so much. What have you? Why do you hike? Let's put it that way.
I don't know. I guess I've been hiking all my life. My dad was a avid hiker and outdoorsman, and brought me up in the Sierras when I was just a little guy, 3 years old probably. And I just been hiking ever since. I first found out about the Pacific Crest Trail when I was probably 11 years old, when he brought my Pop Warner football team up, and it just sort of stuck in my head. And then I probably spent about 10 years trying to knock off the whole Pacific Crest Trail in sections, which that never happened. I finally just through hiked it.
When was the last time you through hiked it?
The Pacific Crest Trail, the last time was in 2008. In 2016, I did the Appalachian Trail and the Continental Divide Trail in 1 year. That was the last time I through hiked.
Wow. And how did you get the funding for that? You self-employed or what?
Well, I'm retired now, but I was a marble mason in a union and had a good job and saved 10% of every check for the hike. And I was a sole supporter of a family of 4 as well. So that was the hardest part of hiking, is maintaining the bills at home and continuing my hiking. People say, all blisters or, all this grief they have on the trail so hard. And for me, it was missing the family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You bet. It's a different, you're in the zone out there. It's a lot different. So did you have
Yeah, and I've done most of my hikes alone.
Okay. I mean, in 2000, the last time you did it, did you have any kind of communications with them in those days?
I think 2008 was the first year that I brought a phone, but before that, we used to stand in front of the payphones and wait for our turn to call home.
Yeah.
We used to pass the number around for those calling cards, because you get like 1,200 minutes, so everybody had the same number and was using the same cards. It was funny, but that's how we used to communicate home. Just you'd walk for 7 or 8 days sometimes, and then finally get to a phone and call home and say, "Hey, I made it." So
And
it was tough.
did you bring up your?
Now you can walk with your phone.
Yeah. Did you get your kids out there too, hiking?
Yeah, yes and no. I don't think it's something that it's like a personal thing for me. So I brought them, of course I brought them out on small hikes and stuff, but they were busy with school and whatever have you, and it was never really in their heart to go out and do something like this, where as far as through hiking goes. And for me, it was because I come from the city, so it was being alone and getting my alone time was big.
Right. So nowadays, are you still with the family, or are you basically retired and just living alone up there?
Yeah, right now I'm living by myself up in Kennedy Meadows, and I bought some acreage up here, and I'm getting ready to so I'm setting roots down here, and it's off grid 100%. So it's a lot of work just to keep it going, and just it's peaceful way of living.
We're down here in Baja with a nonprofit. We're doing environmental projects, trying to set up self-sufficient communities. So we're along the same lines. We want to help people to be independent, and be okay. You have your own water well.
Yeah, today was the first day that. Yeah, I have a well, and I've been spending the last couple of years getting it set up, because I'm also I have an orchard, an apple orchard I'm growing, and today was the first day that I actually ate out of the garden for breakfast.
Okay.
We don't plant until Memorial Day up here, because we actually had a freeze on June 18th was our last freeze. So it's tough up here. It's last year, the first freeze was in September 29th, and it froze every night. My pipes froze every single night until about May, and it started slowing down.
Wow.
So 6 months of serious freezing.
Wow.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it, because we're only at 6,200 feet, but it's a tough way of life up here.
Do you get a lot of chemtrails up there, or what? Are they messing with the
Everybody's
weather?
talking about it, but I never see them up here.
No.
It's what it is we, I'm only 20 miles from the Whitney range. So everything that's around Whitney's 14,000 feet. And so it drops down and then settles in the valley, the cold air.
Okay.
So that happens for about 6 months. And then what's weird about it is we're right off the Mojave Desert. So we get the heat in the afternoon, comes up off the floor of the Mojave Desert. And then in the morning, at about 4 a.m, it drops down from the mountains and settles in this valley. So you got the hot and the cold, and it seems like a daily thing for about during the spring and summer, and then usually in late or early fall, actually, it starts to freezing, and then sometimes like we get 9 degrees, 5 degrees, stuff like that for a couple weeks, and then it usually warms up to 30 degrees, but it's a lot colder than you would think up here.
But the apples like that cold, don't they? That cold. part of the year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually I did really well with the apples this year. I haven't I think next year will be my first year of harvest. You know, I planted bare roots earlier last year, and they're doing pretty good. The apples are. The cherry seemed like it didn't do too well, and same with, and definitely the plum didn't do well. But you know, with the weather, it just, you never know what you're gonna get. So it could, who knows? Next year might be good for the plum.
Down here in Baja, I'm somewhat struggling with the soil. It's so sandy. We're by the beach. We have moderate temperatures. I mean, it doesn't really go above 80, I'd say 85.
Where are you at? Where are you at in Baja?
Between
Where are you at
Rosarito,
in Baja?
between Rosarito and Ensenada and Primo Tapia. It's real moderate
Oh,
here.
I used to surf there all the time.
K38.
In fact, I used to surf a couple spots in. Oh yeah, K38s before those high rises were up. I was surfing there. Usually every weekend.
Las Gaviotas.
Yeah, and there was a little hotel called Hotel California, actually, by Calafia. And then I used to, my favorite place was Popotla.
Yeah.
And I actually have some pictures of Popotla. And then I surfed, you know, the what was it, K55s, or no, San Miguel. San Miguel, you know, on the way to Ensenada. That was a nice little campground. I wonder what that's looking like. I haven't been there since the early 90s, maybe.
Oh, it's all built up now. They're building up into the hills. My friend is a surfer. He was a professional surfer in Huntington Beach, and that's why we came down here. Part of the reason we came here, because he can still surf here.
What was his name?
Dwayne Hepner. He was part of the Gordy surf team.
Oh, yeah, I knew Dwayne.
You know Dwayne?
Yeah, I used to. I grew up in downtown Huntington Beach.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I knew the whole surf ghetto. You know, all those guys didn't. That's where I grew up.
I hope he wasn't one of the guys he pushed off the board. You know, to make room. I guess it got pretty gnarly there sometimes on the north side of the pier.
Yeah, we had a really cool local crowd. But you know, I traveled a lot. So I was in Hawaii and Mexico a lot. So, and then I surfed Trestles was my favorite break and local break. But Huntington, I grew up right across from the pier.
We were in the mobile home park there he was in many years across from the Hilton there.
Yeah, he was at the Driftwood.
Yes. It got too expensive there.
Yeah, I remember when
they changed the owners and they raised the rent space, and now it's just impossible. So we moved down to Mexico. It's a lot better here. We can live off our retirement.
It seems like half of Huntington went. Yeah, it seemed like half of Huntington went to Mexico and the other half went to Costa Rica.
Okay. Well,
and I went up to the mountain.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to visit you sometime. Next time I come through there, it'd be cool to see what you got going on with do you have other people and neighbors too that are off grid?
Well, you know, I'm the only one on my street that's here all year round. So that's why I can talk so loud out here right now. And there's nobody for 2 or 3 miles where I'm at.
Wow.
I have 8 acres and I'm in the middle of my parcel, so no one can hear me. Or we could do whatever we want out here. Yeah. Next year I'm going to be hiking. This year, I planned on staying home and finishing my water setup, which is a big project. I had 330 feet that I had to dig out, and then set 2 tanks and I'm just getting ready, and then I'm also doing my plans to put in a cabin, which while they're debating all that in the at the county next summer, I'll be hiking.
Where are you going to go be at on your hike?
I'm actually thinking of I've been dreaming this up for a long time. I want to go up to the Northwest and circumnavigate all of the volcanoes. So starting off with the Wonderland Trail, and then do the Glacier Peak and Mount Adams, Mount St. Helens, Mount Hood, and just work my way, and do all the trails that go around, and even some of them don't have trails. So I've been thinking about doing that. So I spent a couple months up there, and then I want to also do go around what is it, Mazama Mountain, which is Crater Lake, and then I'd like to do I'll probably start the year off with doing the Tahoe Rim Trail. Now I have 2 dogs, and that's my new thing is I bring my dogs. They're just good trail dogs. And so I'm really into bringing them, and all 3 of the trails have areas on all 3 of the big trails have areas where you're not allowed to bring dogs.
Right.
So I'm working on small trails with them, with the dogs.
Okay. You remember Coppertone, the trail angel?
Yes.
Yeah, he used to run up each of the, he'd follow the herd, and then he'd run up the mountains. He'd try to hit every mountain he could, run up there naked and climb or run the mountains. That was his thing when I was hiking in 2014. Yeah. And I know there's a trans couple.
14 was pardon?
Yeah, 2014, I did it with my son. It was a low snow year. The Sierras were not that difficult.
Yeah, I heard that 14 was I figured it was a little bit less than average.
Yeah. So I know the trans couple, they're hiking this year. They have Truman, their dog Truman. He's on trail this year. He looks like he's going to make it all the way. For a while there, he was not feeling very, very well. I guess his paws got sore, but he's back on. And then 2014, there's a guy that made it to Bridgeport with his dog, but then he had to bail. So I've never heard of a dog making it all the way, but maybe Truman will.
Well, there's been several dogs have made it the whole way, but as far as what they say, now I've been sort of really getting used to it, where I do have the little boots for them for when if they started getting any kind of blisters or cuts and stuff. But I think that my dogs run around in the outside anyways. But there's some areas like in Oregon where you're walking across lava fields for a long time.
Yeah.
That could be tough on a dog.
Yeah.
So, it's just a matter of being ready for when things start to happen and paying attention to their feet.
What kind of dogs are they?
You don't wait till they're healers. They're catalogs.
Oh, perfect. Great.
And oh yeah, they can go all day in the heat without really drinking a lot of water. My little blue healer doesn't hardly eat that much, but he could carry a decent sized pack. Now I have a puppy female, and I think she's going to be good. I'm right now we're doing just 10 miles a day just to see, I'm trying to get her to, used to the trail and learning trail manners. more than anything. I like having them be very good on the trail where they're not jumping on people when they see them and stuff. But I have seen quite a few dogs go through here with hikers.
All right.
You probably hear them in the background. They know that
I do.
I'm talking about them.
We had the first equestrian 2014. It was a woman. I think she was riding Midnight. It was the first time one horse made it through the whole trail. I mean, they missed about 500 miles where he couldn't get through, but it was the first time one horse.
What did they do? Did they go around what'd they do? Go around the snow or something?
I'm not sure, but I just heard they missed 500 miles. Other than that, I think it was Midnight and Night Rider. We met them on trail. It was a woman going the whole way with one horse without changing horses. Yeah.
I was gonna say if these riders realize that they don't need all that weight and just pack really light, with their 5 or 10 pounds worth of gear for themselves, and then the rest of the weight be for the horse, they could do it. What I have seen over the years is they drag around so much stuff, and that poor horse is carrying 40, 50 pounds of stuff on top of the person.
Well, she was assisted, so they didn't have to carry as much. But
yeah, and then also, get off and walk a few miles with it.
Yeah. Well, you almost have to do that in certain areas, yeah, for the trail. Have you heard of anybody like bringing a llama or an alpaca or anything like that? Any other kind of animal? Cats?
Goats. I've seen goats a few times. I have seen llamas as well, but no one has ever done the whole trail with a goat or a llama.
Okay.
But I think it was in 2007, I think, there was a couple that had a goat with them, and they got kicked out in the Sierra.
Oh, yeah.
And they did, and they went pretty far with that goat.
Okay. What, the Rangers kicked them out? Or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is sort of, it's their thing. It's what they do. They kick you out for dogs too. And I've even heard of people that had their dogs, or what are they? They're assisted dogs.
Oh, yeah.
That have been kicked out before.
Handicap. Yeah. Guide dogs. Well, you're an interesting guy, Joe. I kind of have to finish here, but let me ask you one more question about what have you become more aware of since you've been doing the lifestyle of hiking and self-sufficiency? What have you become more aware of? With the last question, let's say.
That time goes by fast.
Yeah. It's just a moment we have.
As far as aware of, the mountains are still here, and there's all these world problems and people going crazy on the world, but the mountains are still here, and the world is going to change with or without us. So I've become more aware of the fact that it's just the mountains are still going to be here when I'm gone.
Cool. Well, you're a neat person, Joe, and you have a neat lifestyle. I hope you the best here. I hope to keep following you. Will you have a blog next time you hike out there?
No, I'm actually leaning more. I was from the first generation of hikers that actually, that recorded our hikes and stuff. And I think I was probably the first person to ever document my entire hike while hiking on the Appalachian Trail. and
Wow.
that was in 2009, no, 2010. And and it just seems like there's so many people doing it that it's not becoming my favorite thing to do. So I'm sort of leaning more on, like when I'm on the internet, it's mostly because I'm bored. But when I'm hiking, I'm never bored.
Right.
I always find I'm always doing something, messing around with something or doing something, pushing myself, whatever it is. And so documenting the hike while hiking is just not that great anymore. It used to be fun because no one else was doing it, but now everybody's doing it.
If you have anything,
so no, I doubt I ever blog again.
Okay, but what you do have, if you could send over any photos, videos, or links, we'll add it to this video, and people might be interested in what you've done in the past, at least.
If you go into my Facebook and you look under the photo albums, you're more than welcome to pull any picture you want off of it. There's hundreds of, if not thousands of pictures of some of my through hikes. I don't have any of the Pacific Crest Trail because the last time I hiked the Pacific Crest Trail was in 2008. So I think that was 5 or 6 cell phones ago. I lost him.
Yeah.
But I after that in 2010 I started downloading albums into my Facebook, and sometimes it's the only reason I stay on Facebook is because of those albums.
Cool. So we're
gonna have to pull those.
We'll do that. We'll get them off their Facebook page. Wonderful. Joe, thank you for the interview. It's nice knowing you. Good luck with everything. I do hope to follow you, and you're doing great. It's great to know you. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I love Baja. I'm jealous.
Yeah, it's less restrictions. The weather's moderate. I mean, we don't go above 85. You don't really get down below 45 at night. It's really moderate here. Got the marine layer here.
How's your Spanish?
I'm picking it up slowly. Yeah, picking it up. Can't help it.
Well, I worked 35 years in the building trades, and my Spanish never did get that good. Good enough to get around, but that's about it.
Yeah. And I'll tell Dwayne about you if you.
All right, dude.
Yeah, and we'll keep in touch. I'll send you the link when we're done.
I doubt you remember me. Okay, great.
Hey, thanks, Joe.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, thank you.
Throughout my through hikes, I've walked on quite a few rails to trail segments. What that is an old converted railroad bed to public use trails. And they're quite interesting. You see lots of artifacts and little memorabilia and stuff like that. This is an old truss, and this was called the Virginia Creeper. They used to haul wood out of here. Hey everyone, here's the Kennenbeck River, and the water is coming up. You can barely see the islands, but I made it across. Forded it, swam it, fell in it, and this kind gentleman right here watched me. 50 bucks I saved. I think I'll eat that tonight. Woohoo! Alice, you follow Baxter. Get the horse! That's all right. You're learning. You're a good girl. You're learning.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here, I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together